Welcome to your Apple Update. I'm your host, John Sherrod, and today we're going to talk about an interesting rumor that says that the iPad is going to get mouse support as an accessibility feature in the near future. And I've got the article pulled up from Mac Rumors, but it cites Federico Viticci of Relay FM and Mac Stories, who says that USB mouse support could eventually be coming to the iPad Pro as an accessibility feature. And they have a quote from him. It says, "What I heard is without adapters, you will be able to use any USB mouse on your iPad, but as an accessibility device," said Viticci. Now, in order to plug a USB mouse into an iPad, if you have an iPad Pro, you could theoretically use a USB-C mouse, but most mouse use a USB-A connector, so I'm sure he means that you would still need something to go from USB-C to USB-A, like Apple's multi-port adapter. But maybe he means without any kind of specialty adapter. It says the iPad Pro has a USB-C port. Okay, there we go. So just plug in a USB mouse, and if you have physical impairments, if you have any other kinds of motor impairments, just use a USB mouse in accessibility mode. And later on it says, Viticci cautions this is something he heard months ago, and he isn't sure if it'll happen. But then there's a tweet that they show from developer Steve Troughton-Smith, and he's one of the guys who frequently digs through betas of Apple software and finds clues to upcoming Apple products and things like that. But he has a tweet that said, "If you missed last week's Connected FM, Federico Viticci had a pretty interesting scoop that he'd been sitting on mouse support coming to iPad as an accessibility feature." He continues, "As far as I'm aware, that is indeed in the works. I feel like every Pro user will turn that on day one." It's not surprising at all that Apple would be bringing a great accessibility feature to iPad, because Apple has a long history of including great accessibility features in their products, and I'm sure they could do more to do that even better to suit customers with various physical impairments. But it's great that they have kind of a long history and a good reputation with regards to that. So it's not surprising in that sense that they would be bringing this to the iPad as an accessibility feature. It is a little surprising that they wouldn't also, if they're going to include mouse support as an accessibility feature, that they wouldn't also include mouse support as a non-accessibility feature, as like a mainline feature of the iPad. And I say that simply because if the feature's there, and you can just go into settings, accessibility, and enable that, anybody can do it, then a lot of people are going to do it. A lot of Pro users who have been wanting mouse support on the iPad for a long time are going to have the ability, are going to take advantage of the ability to do that if this rumor proves to be true. So, and Apple knows that, surely. They've got people, even in-house within Apple, that are going to want to use that feature. So, interesting that they're kind of opening the door in this way. I kind of wonder if maybe they would use that not only to, of course, serve the people that have physical impairments that could benefit from this, but also to kind of see how users would use it and what developers might do with it, that sort of thing. So it'll be interesting to see if this rumor proves true. Mouse support on the iPad is something that I've never clamored for. And I guess my big concern there is I definitely don't want the iPad to become, or iOS for iPad specifically, to become something that requires the kind of microscopic touch points that operating systems and user interfaces geared around mouse pointers are designed for. So like the Mac is great because it's designed to be used with a mouse as the primary input mechanism, and it works really well for that. But if you tried if you just made the Mac interface compatible with a touchscreen where you could just reach up and touch interface elements on the screen, that would be a bad user experience, because those touch points are so small. It would be a frustrating experience to use a touchscreen on the Mac, as the Mac operating system is, whereas iOS is developed specifically for a human finger as the primary input method. So it has very large touch targets, and that makes it that provides some limitations, honestly, from a Pro user standpoint, because an app like Final Cut Pro or Logic Pro would be very difficult to adapt something that powerful to a touch-based operating system, given how many tools and controls you have and palettes and things like that. Those kind of things are very well suited to a mouse-based operating system. So if Apple was going to bring mouse support as something they were trumpeting for all users to use, I think I'd be okay with that, as long as they don't compromise the operating system as a touch-first operating system, because I think the iPad is best suited in that environment. But if they made it possible for you to enable mouse support on an iPad, I would certainly experiment with that and kind of see what options that opens up for me. I've often said that as much as I love using an iPad Pro, a lot of times it's like at the beach and you're in the surf and the water's up to your waist and you're trying to run in waist deep water. You can do it, but it's a lot of work, and sometimes it feels like that using an iPad for pro work. They've gotten better over time, and iOS 13 has been rumored to have more pro features, and you can see the video I did recently on some leaks specifically about iOS 13 for more information on that. But it'll be interesting to see if they do add mouse support. What do you think? Do you want to have the ability to use a mouse with an iPad? If so, let me know in the comments section below. I'd love to hear from you. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you're aware of new videos as I put them out, and we will see you next time on Your Apple Update. This is your host, John Sherrod. Bye.